Welcome back to MF Corner on CNBC TV18. Now we're going to be putting the spotlight on the small cap funds. Why? Because seems like a lot of NFOs in the last 5 months have come in for the small cap fund. What does it mean given the correction right now? Is it a good time to look at the space? Now, Nirav, 5+ funds, small cap funds, NFOs that have been launched in just the last 5 months. How should investors actually be looking at these funds? What if you already have it in your portfolio? Does it make sense looking at a new fund? And what should it be that one should be judging when looking at a new NFO, especially the small cap side?
So the principle extends across NFOs, right?
Yeah.
So whenever we evaluate a fund, a very critical part is understanding the fund manager's philosophy, the portfolio, the investment strategy, and the track record. And the track record itself is comprises of several input factors, like what is the market condition, what is the fund's behavior. Now, all of this is missing in an NFO. So, if you really want to invest in an NFO, especially a small cap NFO, you must have a greater amount of trust, and trust to an extent that you don't need proof or evidence or data to have faith in the fund manager and his strategy. Or you must have a very strong sense of urgency to deploy in the investment approach that is promised. Because at this stage, we don't have disclosure on the portfolio, nor have we seen it in action. So unless those are the cases, it is generally good to wait out a little bit and see how the fund performs, at least through shorter cycles, to start building some foundation for conviction.
Absolutely, at least building some conviction is going to be key as well. Nirav, this time it's been interesting, right? A lot of marquee fund managers, investors, or fund houses have started with the small cap fund. So in this recent NFOs that you've seen in the last 5-6 months, anything that you have specifically looked at, and should an investor actually look at these funds right now if I'm already holding a small cap fund in my portfolio?
So one good thing and distinct about some of the newer NFOs, especially coming from the house of new AMCs per se, most of them have had a certain vintage in investment management. So that really at least warrants a closer look. So you can sort of form an opinion on what could they potentially try and target basis the proxy that they've delivered in their other avatar while managing other products in the past with the same management team with similar mandates. So this could sort of help as a proxy. But again, the initial premise on evaluating an NFO still stands. So you can start looking at it much more consciously. Even we are very closely tracking these new NFOs, but tracking is very different from conviction. So as investors also, you must continue to track and have your eyes out, because these are not extreme freshers. They are seasoned professionals, and it is worth tracking it closely till you reach a point where there's enough substance to build foundational conviction upon.
Okay. Nirav, a quick one, given that short-term funds have actually underperformed large cap funds, especially in the last 1 year. I know we normally don't look at 1-year returns, but does it merit at least as a good entry point for short-term funds, small cap funds? I beg your pardon. Small cap funds, is it a good entry point?
So just because it was trading at a valuation or at, just because it underperformed large caps doesn't mean it is very good from a valuation standpoint. These packs must be viewed distinctly. So large caps did fairly well, and it was resilient against a certain backdrop which really worked in its favor. And against the same parameters, small caps did not fare as well. And some of these parameters are global uncertainty, balance sheet strength, cash flows, strength of cash flows, defensibility of margins. So, and a shift towards quality, which is generally found in the large cap space, and small caps being among the most vulnerable sets and sensitive to outflows, which we witnessed in over the past several quarters, especially from the FPI front. So both of them performed on account of their own standalone merits. Comparing them and reading too much into them could often then not lead to a wrong conclusion.
Absolutely. Could lead to a wrong conclusion. Thanks so much for that, Nirav. Nirav, we are actually absolutely out of time on this edition of Mutual Fund Corner. Thank you so much for tuning in. And viewers, just a quick take, because small cap funds, Nirav has mentioned, you require patience. And if you're younger and you're in your 20s, you can be more aggressive in terms of allocation. While you're later on in your 40s, you can be less aggressive. And allocation to small cap could be in 20 to 25% for someone in their 40s and post that as well. But that's the word coming in from Nirav. Nirav, thank you so much for joining in. And viewers, Thank you so much for tuning in. Up next, you have Closing Bell to take you through the last hour of trade.